great to have you, on this panel. It's a high-powered panel for you audience. So we have a lot to cover in only 30 minutes, and the countdown clock is already saying +3. So I think that's a hangover from the last one. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask you, each of our panelists, just to introduce yourselves and say why you're here at ChangeNOW. So I'm going to start, Helene, if I may, with you, please. And yes, the microphones. Have to hold them quite close, apparently.
Yes, thank you.
Voila.
Yeah, it works? Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk to you about transformation and sustainability. And just a few words to introduce myself. I'm Helene Valade. I'm in charge of the environmental strategy of LVMH since January 2020. And before, I was at Suez, waste and water utilities. I contributed to reinvent the business model of Suez from circular economy, and it was very interesting. And now, outside LVMH, I'm chair the CSR Observatory, an association that brings together more than 100 companies. Another way to work on transformation, collective intelligence between companies. And LVMH comprises 75 maisons and several activities, including fashion, perfume and cosmetics, watch and jewelry, wines and spirits. But we have a common challenge to transform our relationship with nature, because all our products come from nature, and we have a lot of action, a lot of initiatives to protect biodiversity, to regenerate nature, to give back to nature what we borrow from it. And yes, it is an exciting transformation to drive.
Thank you, Helene. Thank you. Ada.
Thank you. I'm Ada. I'm very happy and honored to be with you today. And I'm a consultant since more than 20 years. Before I was a banker. I ran the French office of Bain & Company since 4 years. The reason I'm here, I think that at the heart of the work we do as consultants is really enabling change. And at Bain, enabling change with impact has become our mission since years, but impact with an holistic view, not only financial impact. And what is interesting about Bain, and happy to share it with you today, is the fact that we have a double hat. I have a double hat, because I run an office of 400 people in a company of many thousand. So I have to do my own transformation. At the same time, I have also to work with clients to make it work. And this gives us, I would say, quite a unique opportunity to make sure that we give the best of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Anne, I'll let you go now, please.
Yeah, hi. I'm very happy to be here, and the reason I'm here is has been mentioned by Nicole in the last table ronde. Sorry for some French words that gonna come along. It's collective action. Printemps Ecologique is example of collective action. We are a trade union fighting for social and ecological transformation of organization. What we do is very simple. We talk to the employees and people that are in their company thinking this is not going fast enough, and we are training, mobilizing those people, and we try to put transformation, social and ecological transformation through social and environmental dialogue, and put that in the law at the end.
Thank you. Pierre.
Yeah, my name is Pierre Louette. I'm the CEO of the Les Ecos, Le Parisien Group, which happens to be co-organizing the event. But it's not the only reason why I'm invited. We have about 700 journalists who cover the transformation, digital and also environmental. And we've strived to be in a position in which we can cover this transformation, we can talk about it, we can describe it, but we can also prove that as a media group, we do something for the environment in order to be coherent, actually, because I was afraid of the moment when someone would tell us, okay, you guys cover this transformation all the time, you talk about it, you give lessons to the world, but what do you do on your side? So we have started about 5 years ago now an effort which has driven us to a strong reduction of our carbon footprint. And also, we have now a Chief Impact Officer, Corre, who sits here in the room, and we've developed many policies. I think we will enter into the details later.
And just before I'm just going to keep going on that, Pierre. So, when you think about what you're doing in terms of from a business point of view, because we're all business, well, a lot of us are businesses, are you seeing over that 5 years some business upside, and how does that manifest itself?
Well, to begin with, we were not looking for a business upside. We were looking to begin with, to be coherent with our own activities, also with the group, which is our main shareholder, LVMH. And this group has started many years ago, actually, going into that direction. The transformation has accelerated with Helene's impact, probably, in a strong way in the recent years. But we wanted to be in that direction. That was the first thing. Also, we were driven by something which I think Anne will mention later. We had some questions from our staff, because people were always telling me, okay, at home I do things which are good. I try to select what I put in the garbage, and in the office there is not much that is offered to me in terms of helping, in terms of doing something positive for the planet. So we decided that we needed to begin like this. We were able to develop those policies and try to get people to interact with our company. Do the selective activities that are needed, and also we were thinking we need to cover this transformation. It's going to be the biggest story of our lives probably, and also if we want to have a life, it's a very big story. So we decided that this was going to be an effort. Obviously, some business consequences come with that. As of today, about 15% of the articles written by Les Echos have some relationship with ESG stuff. 15%. It was probably like 2% 5 years ago or less. And of course, we've seen during that period an increase in the number of subscribers to Les Echos. So it hasn't been detrimental to the businesses. This is something that I really want to underline. It's not detrimental at all. It is the story of the world. People are interested, and they need to know more, and they need to have the tools to act, and they need to have the explanations. So if you bring more explanations, if you are more savvy in that field, it's good. It helps your businesses too. So it's a very coherent way to proceed. So
and I think you're ahead of it. And that's what I guess you should be anyway, as running a media group. But and Santiago said to me, he said, Pierre is a visionary, and you've he told me. So it's a quote, but it's and you were there because it's so important to your people as well.
Yeah, well, visionary, it sounds like I take artificial substances, which is not true. I'm not a shaman at all. So, but it's something that has to do with your life. I mean, around you, your kids, your wife, tell you, what are you doing in your own day-to-day businesses? What are you doing to help? What have you changed in your own life? And so that's probably what moved me. And the youngest members also of the staff were very much drivers, and then gradually we found out that the whole managing director's team was very interested and said, yes, we absolutely need to move. It takes some effort. We did 2 carbon footprints examinations. We were able to reduce our carbon footprint between the first and the second. We are very much depending upon a whole chain of value which we do not control. We print newspapers, but we don't own the forests, we don't own the printing factories. So we had to. The inks are very much polluting usually. So you try to find inks which are not going to be polluting. So we had to work with the whole value chain above us and also under us in terms of distribution, trucks, and so on. But it's fascinating, and I would say that most of the staff involved have found out that it's something that adds to your life. It's not something taken away from you. It really is an addition.
Thank you. And you were itching to say something there, I thought. Give a perspective, and then I want to come to Helene. But give your reaction to that and what you're seeing across your network and your clients.
Yeah, and I think Pierre is right. I think when you try to enable change, and this is at the heart of what we do. The first thing as an advisor, at least for us, is to do your own homework. So when engaging on environment, Bain has engaged since more than 15 years. It's more than 11 years we are carbon neutral. This year will be net negative with all the nature-based projects. And so that experience over time has allowed us and the teams to gain the expertise, but also to gain what does it mean doing that journey. And we declined it, and we help clients to do the same journey very intensively these days. And this is very important because we work on the what, but I think my client knows quite well what they have to do. I think the point is more about how we make it happen, how the change at scale can happen. And I think that's the key, and that's the art of what we do. If we work on circular economy, by helping a waste company to develop a very virtuous circle, to change the way they run their operation, having done this with communities in a lot of countries, pro bono has helped us and helps the client. On the other side, we are also trying to give our contribution as an enabler in the investment area. As you know, we are a leading firm advising investors, private equity investors over time. And if you look at 5 years ago, having an ESG view of how a company is creating a sustainable business model, it was almost not in the radar screen. And I'm very proud to be in the firm that had set that standard in the industry. So as of today, when we do due diligence work for our client, there is no one diligence where is this company we're going to invest creating sustainable impact.
Yep.
And that is very, very important for us.
Thank you. That's great. Helene, you were talking to me a little bit about some of the work you're doing with the teams in LVMH. Do you want to share a little bit of that with us, please?
Yes, but I think it's absolutely crucial to engage and to align the entire company around a common environmental ambition. And at LVMH, this ambition is formalized in a framework, a roadmap called Life 360, which is not a side issue, but an integral part of the global strategy of LVMH. And it consists of objectives, quantified objectives set for 2023, 2026, 2030, and for very concrete action plans to drive transformation on circular economy, biodiversity, climate, and transparency. And this roadmap concerns all professions and involves in-depth transformation in the way they are practiced. Just a few examples of that. For a buyer, the challenge is now to take into account the carbon footprint of its supplier. For a salesperson, the ability to respond to the environmental questions of his customer. For a logistician, the choice of a more eco-friendly mode of transport. That is why I think it's very important to facilitate this, the appropriation of this roadmap so that each employee can be actor of the change. Because change cannot be decreed or decided just with a snap of the fingers. Why it is important has been to explain and must be explained. And yes, I think we have to give precise meaning to change, and change has to make sense for each employee. And then it's important to give the keys to implement transformation, because transformation is not just about change of gestures or behavior, but also about skills, hence the importance of training, explaining the meaning, and yes, providing expertise. Training is key. And at LVMH, our motto is learn to be the change. That is why we are launching a new Environment Academy, a new training center that offers learning of expertise on all the aspects of transformation on circular economy, traceability, biodiversity, and climate. Just some examples. What eco-design means, how source differently raw materials to manufacture eco-design products, and so on. And it is because I have received this training, because I have been invited to ask myself the right questions, that I can take action. And just a last thing, because I think the place is also very important to ensure the quality of training. And I'm very happy to disclose today that you just signed a partnership with Yann Arthus Bertrand to use for training an amazing place, La Millière. La Millière is a biodiversity reserve, 1 hour from Paris, that concentrates all the Yann Arthus Bertrand science on biodiversity, and that allows to experiment, especially on regenerative agriculture. And I think this amazing place will enable a reconnection with nature. Yes, in short, it's possible to shift the lines from within, making all employees change makers.
Amazing, and congratulations on that. And that sounds like the most amazing place to go to, and what a privilege for your teams to be able to participate in that and shifting. So Anne, when I listen to this, there's a lot of amazing things going on in businesses, and I guess your raison d'être is partly to help businesses and the teams to kind of drive this agenda. How do you think about which businesses you engage with? Are you seeing this more broadly, or is it just pockets? And how are you kind of navigating are you driving accelerated change with businesses that are already doing something, or because it would appear that there's so much happening? So how are you kind of unraveling that, and why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah. So Printemps Ecologique, Ecological Spring, is in several companies, big, little, medium-sized company. So we are in telecommunication companies, but also in agro, in food industries, and we are in very diverse companies from very diverse industries. The reason is because we need to change our productive system in every sector. That's a need, and that's an urgency and emergency to do that. Maybe more about the people we are mobilizing and that are part of Printemps Ecologique, because that was my case, and I guess that might be your case too. That this moment when you are working and asking yourself what you are doing for the future of your child and for your future. So we have a lot of people that are kind of very stressed about how their job impacts the planet and how in what they can do about it. So that's why some people engage with Printemps Ecologique, thinking that they might just push the company from the inside to make the company go very much further than she's actually going. Just some figures. Carbon disclosure is saying that less than 5% of the company on the European level are aligning with Paris Agreement. So we are very, very aware that companies are not going fast enough facing the emergency. So what we do is trying with the employees to find where we can act. And for example, we are in a telecommunication company, employees that are now analyzing every project the management is showing them through a very specific and strict analyzing method. Yep. And saying to the management here that project is actually not compliant with what we need to do. In another industry, we have a whole fabric that just got on strike mobilizing to say this change in a gas station, in another gas station, is actually not compliant with what we need to do. Also, this is what people in company do, and we know that sometimes there is a very strong dialogue to make and to build within the management and employees. And as a trade unionist, I see a lot of also some management and employees are afraid to engage through that dialogue. And this is very concerning, because why are we afraid to discuss the real matter here, which is social and ecological emergencies? So I could be calling everyone to just see that kind of action in a very different way. Trade unionism is a way to push to go forward. And just something else that I'm actually wondering a lot, and that I'll let you with it, a question that I will let you think, is your company still existing in 2050? Is she doing the same thing as she's actually doing right now? For a lot of companies, they will not be doing the same thing. We need to just ask for the usefulness of what we're doing, what we're producing, and what we consume. So that's that very much story we need just to ask.
It's very, thank you. And of course, we're here in Change Now with a lot of people who are doing it. And you're out there getting people who are not doing it to do it. And I think, you should be applauded for coming here and telling us what's out there. And I'd love next year for you to have a whole panel of people you have convinced telling us their stories of how you have helped that happen. And I think it's we need it, because it's easy to hear great stories from our participants here, but to forget what's not happening. So thank you for that. I want to shift the conversation. We only have 7 minutes left to more around innovation and how you guys are seeing the innovation landscape. And I'm going to start with Pierre, because I'm loving Les Éco Start, I think it's called, and the way that you're embracing the startups and that kind of innovation community, and just to understand how that's happening, and any insights around the kind of the broader transformation agenda.
Well, maybe to begin with, I should have mentioned the fact that we have worked on a mission statement, which was not very unusual for a newspaper company to do that. And so we decided a couple of years ago to define ourselves, and we said, Le Groupe Les Écoles Le Parisien is committed to fostering the emergence of a new responsible society by informing, mobilizing, and accompanying on a day-to-day basis citizens and companies. So we decided that it was going to be our job to do this and to help people interact. Anne didn't mention it, but she told me previously, before we moved on the stage, the law has changed in France. And that's really very important, because now there is a law that says that members of the company, staff of all kinds, have a right actually to ask questions about what their company does for the environment. As we all know here, probably the reason why of companies has dramatically changed also 5 years ago now. In the past, legally, a company was just a place where you distribute profits between shareholders. Now it is also a structure that has to contribute in a positive way to society. So all of this has changed very much. We are here at Change Now. Change Now has two very strong words. One of the messages is the fact that we don't change fast enough. One of the positive messages is the fact that Change Now has grown incredibly over the last 3 years. So more and more people understand that we're not changing fast enough and come to this event to know and to learn more. So a couple of points that I really wanted to stress. When we go to our staff again, we have decided to launch a whole training program over which every single journalist actually will be trained. So it's about 720. Not each of them was super fanatic about that, but we said, yeah, it's mandatory. It's like learning to write, learning to speak, or I don't know. You have to learn and you have to know more. obviously, it will give us more clout, more power when it comes to covering all of those issues. So we decided to launch this, an Impact Academy also that we're going to launch. In the next weeks, we will have Emmanuelle Faber, Marie Ekland, maybe you heard of her too, coming to our COMEX and sharing with the people, the management of the company, everything they do. So it is a continuous effort. And I think Helene was really rightly mentioning this. It is about alignment. You cannot do your work and say, and by the way, there is something in the back of my head that has to do with the planet. It has to be integrated. Again, you were mentioning Les EcoStart and also the startup pages. The startup page, which is a daily thing in Les Ecos, it has more and more companies that are startups in the environment field. So once again, this has become so huge. It is so urgent. And it requires also to be able to work with all kinds of people. So again, the Printemps Ecologique has this approach, which I think is really very strong and useful for us. It is a reminder of the fact that we need to mobilize everybody in the company. Experts are required. And also, which you will find here, an international approach. Because we do not invent everything here in France. I mean, there is a lot to be learned from people. And Kate, again, was telling us how little efforts can grow and become huge. I think all of this is super inspiring, but we need the inspiration and we need the dedication because the challenge is pretty high.
Yeah, amazing. So we're running very short of time. So Ada, I'm going to let you just give us a couple of other perspectives and then go to Helene before we close. From what you're hearing in this panel and what you're seeing with your clients, are you optimistic? What are you thinking we should be going to do that we're not doing?
But I'm always optimistic, and actually I'm a bit afraid of the fact that a lot of the discussion today are very catastrophic.
Yeah.
We see a lot of things that you could be depressed at the end of the day and be scared to do anything because you think I will not have the time, my son will not have the time, and the son of my son. I think what is important is, and I think Kate has told us, big change starts small. Start small, it means that, yes, we need billions of dollars because you need means, but we need also billions of people who take a cause, a topic, at the heart of what they do. And they are able to be bold, they are able to have the courage to raise the hands and bring a different perspective. I think change starts from this. You don't start change without saying, yes all the time. The second point is that, and this is what I do with clients, and I think clients, what is important today is that the change we are had and we need to face are very long. We are talking about 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. When I talk with CFOs and you tell them that, the impact of what you're doing today, it will be in 20 years. It goes beyond their quarterly meetings, their annual shareholder meetings. And this is very difficult as an organization to manage because actually you have to work on how a single organization moves forward and keeps the line for 20 years. And how you make sure that everybody in the organization, not only the ExCo, but that is aligned, but how a single individual is convinced about why this change should happen, why and how is impacting his life first, and the way he works with his team, within the organization. If you don't create in a community, and even in the organization, a space of dialogue and transparency about what this means, actually you can't create such change. Especially, we are talking about existential stakes, not incremental one. So if people are not convinced, you do not move forward, you do not step change. That is what we need. So that was really at the heart of what you're doing now.
Brilliant. And Helene, last word to you.
Just a call for action.
Give us something to go home with.
A call for action. Ask your human resources department or your sustainability department for a new training catalog to increase the expertise on sustainability of your organization or company. It works.
Perfect. Thank you so much to this amazing panel. Don't go, but Pierre, thank you. Anne, thank you. Ada, thank you. Helene, thank you. We could have talked for a lot longer.